Welcome to Psyche Magic, a podcast about waking up to the subconscious via our nocturnal dreams. I'm your host, Jordan Hale. I'm a psychotherapist based in Nashville, Tennessee. Together, we'll learn to befriend the unknown and her deep well of wisdom. While aspects of this podcast may feel therapeutic, it is never meant to take the place of therapy.
Turning all the time in my sleep, in this fever dream, sleeping on the side I used to be, in this fever dream.
I am so excited to be learning more about dreams, and today's guests, the Pfeiffer twins, have certainly expanded my horizons. Being identical twins, Carrie and Lindsay Pfeiffer have had the luxury of having their dreams inherently understood by each other. Their experience is unique in that they are not alone in deciphering the mysteries of their dreams. They have a built-in partner, or as some might even say, a built-in soulmate. Frankly, I'm a little jealous. Something I really appreciate about today's guests is that they excel at being inquisitive and asking great questions. Instead of asking, what does this dream mean? We found it more helpful and expansive to ask, how is this dream meaningful? I truly hope that these conversations can encourage us to approach our own dream material with a little less judgment and a little more curiosity. Fear of the subconscious is related to fear of the unknown. And I don't know about you, but I find I'm usually growing the most when I'm regularly pushing the boundaries of my comfort zone. Rainier Marie Rilke writes, quote, "How should we be able to forget those ancient myths that are at the beginning of all peoples? The myths about dragons that at the last moment turn into princesses. Perhaps all the dragons of our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us once beautiful and brave. Perhaps everything terrible is in its deepest being something helpless that wants help from us." Unquote. This passage echoes a sentiment my guests will speak to, which is the empowerment that comes with learning to face even the scarier aspects of our dreams, and indeed ourselves. This approach stems from a sense of cultivating trust in oneself, and that all aspects of our psyche can be useful and healing if we can learn to tolerate our anxiety and uncertainty enough to investigate them. I hope you enjoy our conversation and that it inspires you as it has me. But first, let's learn about an A-list dream. On the pilot episode with Michael, we talked about how Paul McCartney was visited in a dream by his mother, Mary, who had passed away. Her words of wisdom, "Let it be," became his inspiration for the song. However, Michael also mentioned the song Yesterday, and it turns out this song was inspired by a dream as well. This time, the melody came to Paul McCartney in a dream. He woke up, stumbled to the piano, and played the chords. He assumed it was based on an old jazz standard and began asking around to see if the melody already existed. It took him another year and a half to finish the song, the placeholder lyric being scrambled eggs. He ended up finishing the lyrics while on vacation, which means that both the melody and the lyrics came to him during times of rest. I love this sentiment because something I'm learning about in my own creative process is that cultivating mental calmness and quiet invites receptivity. Receptivity is the space where creative magic can happen. However, this doesn't come naturally for most of us. Our minds are so busy, and we talk all the time about how we wish things could be different, wanting and seeking guidance. But how often do we actually stop and take the time to just listen? One of my favorite writers and tarot teachers, Jessica Dorr, says that life is dialogue, not monologue. We can cultivate our intuition through equal parts speaking and listening. One of my favorite ways to listen has become my morning meditation and tarot practice. I won't lie, this used to be a chore. But during the forced solitude of the pandemic, it eventually became a practice that I couldn't live without. Each morning when I pull cards, I invite a message. Sometimes I guide it with a specific question or concern, but most often I sit back and just receive. Just as Paul's mother wisely reminded him to let it be, remembering to regularly receive can be healing in and of itself. In the recent documentary 321, producer Rick Rubin and Paul McCartney end the series by talking about yesterday. Paul McCartney says, after telling the story of his dream, that when people ask him if he believes in magic, he says, yes, because I have to. Now, on to my guests, the Pfeiffer twins.
Welcome to Psyche Magic. So I am here with the Pfeiffer twins, and we are going to be talking today about twin dreams. So I would love it if you two fabulous ladies could introduce yourselves, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, so I'm Carrie Pfeiffer, one half of the twins.
And I'm Lindsay Pfeiffer, the other half of
We're
us.
obviously both 37 years old.
Nice.
born on the same day, which a lot of people ask, wait, are you born on the same day?
Yes.
We're twins. So yeah.
We are identical twins. We have the same genetics.
Yeah, so we're monozygotic. And, you know, we've been having very similar dreams for probably at least 10 years that we know of, but probably longer than that. And we both have degrees in psychology. And so this has just been a topic that's interested us for a really long time. And we're excited to be able to share it with the world, because I think this is something that, you know, a lot of people have questions about twins, and they think twins are like odd and just like people don't
They're
get it. Fascinated with twins. And this is one aspect that is certainly fascinating. And I think we're really good people to share it with.
And it's a relatable topic because everybody dreams.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about this is that, like you said, you both also have this background in psychology. So not only are we talking about dreams, but we're talking about the psyche and the way that dreams affect us on a daily basis. And as twins, you do have a really unique perspective into that. What I would love to hear first is for you two to give us kind of maybe a couple of key dreams. So tell us the story of a couple of dreams that you have realized were identical, were the same, and just kind of walk us through like what those dreams were.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I don't know that everybody has recurring dreams or recurring themes in their dreams, but certainly we have themes that we dream about very often. And at first, like, we didn't know that we both dreamt the same themes. But some of the themes that we have are, and they're so crazy. We have these, what we call anxiety dreams, where when you have the dream, it just gives you anxiety. You feel anxious, you feel uneasy. It's not comfortable. It's not that it's scary,
No,
but
not
it's
a
like,
nightmare.
it just makes you
It's
feel tense,
stressful.
So, you know, we have these weird ones with fish tanks that, like, there's a fish tank and it's running out of water, and the fish are running out of water and they can't breathe because there's no water in the tank, or the tank is like overflowing with water, or there's a cat in the fish tank.
So how did we discover that we both have anxiety dreams about fish tanks though? I believe Carrie, one morning, we've lived together for a really long time. So as you do in the morning, as you're making breakfast, sometimes you say to the person you live with, man, I had the weirdest dream last night. And I think I had said, like, I had said that I have this recurring dream that feels really anxious and stressful to me. And I was telling her that it involves fish tanks where there's just fish and they're gasping for air. And so I have to rush and put more water in it. And then you said something like, what color are the fish? And I was like, they're usually dark colored. Like,
I don't remember what I said, but
and then you said something like,
and then I was like, okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but is there ever a cat swimming in the fish tank? And she was like, yes. And I was like, but wait, you don't panic that there's a cat in the fish tank because you just rationalize it by going, it's a water cat.
It's a water cat.
It's just a cat that lives in a fish tank. Like,
Naturally.
No.
And we're like, where does this, can we swear on this podcast?
Oh, of course.
We're like, where does this shit come from?
Well, we had a fish tank in
I
our
was going to say,
bedroom.
are there any associations for you guys?
Yes. We had a fish tank in our
bedroom.
Our entire childhood. We had
Really?
in our bedroom.
And we've had many cats.
Yes.
But why is my anxiety dream? And I have had this fish tank anxiety dream
for years and years.
Years and years. I literally had a fish tank dream last night. I am not kidding you. And it started with fish like 10 years ago. It then evolved to cats in the fish tank. It then evolved over years to not just small fish tanks in a bedroom, but large aquariums, museum-sized aquariums. It became
sometimes they're
giant
like even in
blowfish and sharks that I'd have to
sometimes
hoist.
they're even like in this, I don't know, like Chinatown fish market basement warehouse thing where there are tanks and tanks of fish.
It fills an entire room.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the symbol is literally growing like in magnitude and size.
I had a fish tank dream where it became an ocean. Well, so last night, I kid you not, I had a fish tank dream, and it started as usual with the fish. I'm having to keep the fish alive as the water is getting lower, and then the water pools over and the fish are falling out of the tank. I have to put them back in the tank, but then it wasn't fish. It was Lindsay's 2 stepdaughters.
Oh God.
In the tank.
Oh God.
And one of them had no body. It was just a head.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But they were fine because they were water children. It evolves.
Yes. And what's interesting to me about this dream is that obviously it's fun to look at dreams in terms of multiple layers of symbolism, right? So there's your association to having the fish tanks as a child and that being something that was a part of your shared world. And then it's interesting to also look at kind of the classical symbolism of water in dreams. Water as an element is often associated with emotions and the feminine aspects of life, receptivity, going with the flow. And so to have that element as part of your shared psyche, I think is also interesting.
I think you bring up a good point of those shared symbols of water, but I think Carrie and I also have a lot of air in our dreams where we are flying. And I think everybody has flying dreams, but yeah, I think
everyone wishes they could have flying dreams because they're amazing.
Dreams all the time.
We've talked about flying dreams, and I think people have different styles. I think like maybe I'm projecting here, but I think maybe some people have to get a running start and then fly in their dreams. Some people have wings. Some people can fly higher than the sky out of Earth's atmosphere into the stars.
We tend to like stop at the trees or the like electrical lines.
If I get to the clouds, I feel fear. But most of the time I fly to escape a bad male figure. It's always a bad male figure that I'm trying to escape from. I don't really fly.
So you both share this same theme as well.
Oh yes.
Always bad men.
Bad men breaking into the house that we grew up in. And then you have to escape through the window.
Through your bedroom window.
Through my old bedroom window.
You can't escape through my bedroom though, because
no, it's always my window.
But my bedroom is haunted.
Yeah, we have this like recurring thing where
Oh,
oh, do we dream about
tell me about this.
you ever dream about our old house? And it's like, yeah. And then Carrie will be like, what are your feelings on my old bedroom closet? And I'm like, oh, it's creepy and it's haunted or something's
But
there.
it was never.
But it wasn't.
It was
like,
never creepy and haunted in real life.
Yeah.
Just in my dreams, for some reason, every time I dream about our old childhood house, my bedroom has a demon in it,
not a demon, but just
It's haunted
something
in the closet, and you can't go in.
dark. And like,
There's it's negative. It's a
Negative in
presence.
my bedroom. Her bedroom is okay.
but then it's like, did we ever have anybody break into the house ever?
No.
Did we ever escape from anything out my window? No. Did your closet growing up ever have a creepy vibe? No. You know, like,
And yet we share this exact same imagery.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
it brings up the whole nature nurture conversation. It's like, well, our nature is pretty much identical. Our nurture growing up was pretty much identical. And really where we've only diverted, I guess, in our lives is as adults, like I'd say around our 30s, because our 20s, we lived in the same house, usually had the same jobs
same
and
college.
friends, college, that was pretty much all the same. So it really wasn't until our 30s that we got our own places to live. And like, I have kids now and she doesn't. And so I think if we had another deep conversation about what our dreams are now, they would probably be more different now than they've ever been. And I would say, like, for me, this is Lindsay speaking, I have kids now and I've had a baby, and I dream a lot more about like being pregnant and giving birth and like family a lot more. Like last night I had a horrible dream that I was pregnant again and I gave birth to a stillborn baby, and it was awful. And it like, I woke up feeling upset about it.
But you both had anxiety dreams last night.
Yeah.
Well,
and
that's typical. I mean, I have anxiety
For
dreams
us,
pretty often.
I literally dreamt that your two stepchildren were in a fish tank. One of them had no body. Clara was just a head.
Yeah. And mine was 9 months pregnant, went to go give birth
Last night.
and baby died while I was giving birth. It's lovely.
Yeah, harrowing imagery all around. Mhm.
And I mean, we are not anxious people on the whole, I would say. We have not had, trauma in our lives.
No.
Yeah.
Great childhoods.
Yeah, so it's like, where these things come from is really.
Mhm.
I mean, I just think that, like, obviously we have the same nature. We have very similar nurture growing up. But I think people's dreams are fueled at least partly by your fears. What are you afraid of? What don't you want to ever happen or deal with in real life, in consciousness? And it shows up. And so I think she and I do have a lot of the same fears. We have the same values. So all the good, all the bad that is like deep inside of our souls, or whatever you want to call it, is very similar. And that's why I think we have a lot of the same dreams. We're not psychic. I can't read her mind right now. But there is some type of psychic type connection in that we have something that is extra that I think singletons don't have.
That's what we call you people.
Oh, this is well documented in research that there is almost this kind of extrasensory connection that twins maintain throughout their lifetime, whether or not they are in contact, which I also think is fascinating.
Right. People, when they think of what psychic means, they're like, oh, what's she thinking right now? It's like, what color is she thinking of right now? Like,
yes.
I don't know. But I can say, well, I do know what she's thinking in general right now, because it's the same thing that I'm thinking, because we are on the same wavelength.
Yes. Exactly. It's a little bit more broad, but the connection is the part that is important. Right. Yeah. Well, and I want to go back to what you guys were saying about your dreams, and especially fears being connected to the value system, because a lot of what I'm learning about dreams and the way that dreams function is that there are theories that say that part of why we dream the way that we do is that our psyche, our subconscious, is trying to enact and prepare us for often the worst case scenario that we can imagine, right? In a dream sequence, I can enact this possibility without getting, emotionally flooded or overwhelmed because I'm dreaming. So I can practice that. I can play. It's like play.
Or rehearsing. You're like kind of
Yes.
rehearsing something, and
I
there's
can
no
play it out.
It's not real. It's fake.
Right.
Exactly.
So I think you're referring to Carl Jung with that, because
my main man.
Yeah, because he said, I was talking to Lindsay about this earlier, but yeah, like Freud was all about, oh, your dreams are only about expressing your unconscious desires, and he completely neglected like people's conscious desires and what we really think of every day. And then Jung was like, nah, you have to incorporate the conscious. So if there's things going on consciously in your life that you are thinking about and you are actively worried about, but you just can't deal with it in real life, or you don't know how to deal with it in real life, you can deal with it in your dreams. And so your dreams do serve that purpose. If you have a fear as a mother about protecting your children and fears about childbirth, your dreams are going to present you the worst possible case scenario. Your baby comes out stillborn, or worse, your baby's a demon, whatever you have nightmared. And if you can deal with it in that dream, it's preparing you to better deal with it when it hits you in real life.
Well, for me, it's like when you wake up and you're like, oh my God, how did I dream such a fucked up dream?
Yeah. How did my mind come up with this?
How did I come up with this? Am I sick? Am I a sick person that I came up with this? And what I tell myself is like, no, you're not sick. That was your mind testing you, saying, let me show you the most horrific thing and let's see how you react to it. And if you wake up feeling gross and disturbed by it, good, you're normal, you're healthy, because that was supposed to disturb you. But if you woke up and you're like, that was a cool dream when I cut off somebody's leg and ate it, like some fucking crazy dream, like then you kind of failed the test, right? Like,
well, I don't know about you two, but for me, I had a huge turning point when I started viewing dreams as symbolic rather than being tempted to take them so literally, right? Yeah. So for the example that you just gave, if I have a dream where I do something violent, of course our first thought is going to be, oh no, am I secretly a violent person? What does this mean? But what could that sort of outburst symbolize in terms of what I might be feeling or what I might be going through? That was something that was really helpful for me. And it sounds like you two have done some research and that you are on the same type of wavelength.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Another one that we have that is very similar, we've had for years, is the mountain lion dream.
Oh yeah.
A number of years ago.
Cats again.
Oh yeah. I don't remember.
We love cats.
I don't remember which twin brought it up first, but one of us said something about, do you ever have a recurring dream where a large cat, meaning like a lion or a mountain lion, is chasing you?
And you have to climb up a tree
you have to
or
climb
fly
up
to a tree and then sort of jump branch to branch to branch, and the jaguar or whatever's trying to get you, and we're like, yes, I have that.
And then it jumps so high to try to claw you, and it just grazes your
never
back.
Actually gets you.
Never gets you, but it's always a mountain lion or a large cat, and you have to go tree to tree. A number of years ago, mine evolved from cats to large grizzly bears. And
I haven't had those dreams in a long time, so I don't remember.
And we both had the mountain lions, and then mine evolved into grizzly bears, and it would be a grizzly bear with her children, and it was very scary. Hers never evolved
with
into
the bear's children?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
And mine evolved at a time in my life where I was entering into a depression. She was not. I was in what I now recognize as a toxic relationship that I thought was toxic at the time. She and I were on different wavelengths in our lives at that time, and I think that's why mine evolved into a grizzly bear. Like literally, like what's worse than a mountain lion? A grizzly bear.
Like, let's kick this up a notch.
Yeah, and she's protecting her babies, so she's like extra pissed off. I don't stand a chance. And there's no trees. I can't like climb any trees to escape them out like I could with the mountain lion. I'm fucked.
Oh, you didn't have your same escape route.
No, lost the escape route too, and that was at a time in my life where it was really reflective of what was going on in my relationship.
Very symbolic.
Fascinating.
She was not in. So in that way, I think that was an interesting way that we did have the same dream and they diverted.
Studying the convergence and the divergence. That's really interesting.
That's that nurture at play, like
Definitely.
what's going on in our lives environmentally, externally that's going on, because our lives have been very in sync from the beginning. But then again, adulthood, that's where, we have different relationships and different immediate family dynamics right now. And that's where you can see the nurture really affecting all of that and changing the dreams.
Yeah. That's and I remember when I asked her, I was like, so my mountain lion dreams evolved into grizzly bears. Did yours? And I was like hoping for a yes, because usually when mine change, her change. And she was like, no, they didn't. And I was like, what? They're not the same?
Like feeling kind of alone in that. Yeah.
We're at the point where we've known that we've had the same or very, very similar themes and dreams for so long now that, like, when we say, instead of being like, hey, do you have these dreams, the sentence will start like, you know those dreams that we have where you have those water slides.
You guys just did the twin thing and it was adorable.
Yeah, you know those dreams slides where you're in the lake and
or the elevator.
The elevator dreams.
Yes. So
just it doesn't even start with do you have, it's those dreams we have, right?
Even if it's a dream theme that we haven't discussed before.
It's just
like I'll just
assume
innately
I have the same one.
know. I'm like, well, of course she has dreams about
the elevator dream.
Driving over almost
a wooden
train,
bridge.
Yeah, like a wooden bridge, train track,
always
suspended in the air, and
it's
you're
rickety.
like trying not to fall off of it. Yes, elevator dreams. It's
roller coaster
fascinating.
dreams.
We've been talking about anxiety dreams, which sort of have broad applications. But then when we even get to the minute details of dreams that aren't even like an entire dream, but just like this little morsel of a thing, like, hey, when you have dreams about our old house and you pull out of our driveway in the dream, do you always head in this direction, or are you always driving a stick shift car, or are you always,
it's usually a van or an old junky 1970s car,
or like something so silly, a silly detail that you think doesn't mean anything, and those things are almost always the same. It's weird.
Well, and something that Carrie touched on was that it sounds like there's been this sense of comfort too in being able to share these dreams with each other.
Like when mine changed to a grizzly bear and hers didn't change with it.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. This is not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to share this.
Yeah, because my boyfriend now, totally different than the relationship I was in before. Once in a while he tells me about his dreams in the morning and I just can't connect to him. I'm like, okay. I'm like, cool.
You're like, I have this unique experience where I get to share dreams with my twin. You're boring.
It's just not the same being able to share your wacky dream with someone who's like, yes, like, and I know that dream.
Yeah, and it really is bonding, as if we're not bonded enough already, but it really is comforting and bonding, because it's not even that even the themes and the things that happen in the dream are the same, but the feelings behind what happens in the dream are the same. So we could be like, hey, do you have a dream where you're driving on train tracks up in the middle of the air? And it's like, yes, she has those dreams. Now, some people could be like, and isn't it so cool and it's fun to drive up in there? But it's like, no, it is not fun. The feeling is always the same behind what we do. It's almost always anxiety.
Do you remember years ago when you had a dream.
Oh, about when one of us moved out and then we were yelling at each
Yes.
other.
Holy shit, that's what I was just thinking of.
Okay, tell us this dream.
Well, okay, so I
I
think
never have dreams where I'm mad at you, except for like this once or twice.
so.
Okay,
I think
she hasn't more.
I think this was the day that we realized we had the same dreams. And I think we were in our early 20s and we were driving in the car together. And Carrie was like, hey, she calls me Droid. Just don't even get into it. But she calls me Droid. And she's like, hey, Droid, I had the weirdest dream the other night. And it ended up being like 2 nights prior. And she was like, I dreamt that I was, what, you were yelling at me.
We had
Yeah, that you moved
I
out.
moved out, or somehow like one of us was living in this dinky ass shitty apartment, and there were just a lot of hard feelings, cardboard boxes, mishmash of stuff. It was,
But you were living together at the time in real
Yeah,
life.
the time in real life.
but in this dream, one of us moved out. It was in this cramped city apartment, and
you were
I
yelling
yelled
at
at
me.
you,
were
like
yelling at me.
Fuck you, like
We're moving
hate
out.
and rage at her in this dream, and I woke up like, oh, that dream was awful.
And she was like, so while she's telling me the dream, she was like, isn't that strange? And I was like, strange. I had the exact same dream last night, except I was yelling at you.
I was just about to ask, were you receiving or
something.
were you also yelling? Yeah.
I think
It
I
was so
was yelling
strange
at
because
her.
I never have dreams like that.
Yeah, and I was like, and it was very like uncomfortable.
I didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
It was like, why am I yelling at
And
you?
it was at that moment they were like, holy shit, we just had the same dream one night apart.
Yeah.
And it was a dream that neither of us had ever had before.
This was bizarre, yeah.
And then that's what sparked a conversation that it was like, well, what
What other
other
things
dreams do you
do you
have? And then it was like, do you have anxiety dreams about fish tanks? Yeah.
So it was that really nasty one that sparked it.
Literally have a list.
And that's when we realized, and that was in our early 20s. And like, so it's been, 15 years that we've realized we've had the same dreams.
Mhm.
And I do want to clarify for anyone who's listening, because people do ask, they're like, oh, do you have the exact same dreams on the same night every night? No. No.
And like you just exemplified, it's not necessarily that you're always having the same dream. Sometimes it's that you're having like a mirror image of the dream.
It's a
We're like,
complementary dream or something.
yeah, exactly.
It's almost like, I mean, if people are going to go along with like, well, we were at one point one ovum that split into 2 equal halves. If I have a dream where I'm yelling at you, you have the other half of the dream where you're then yelling at me back. It's complementary in that way. We're literally looking at we have a list.
I love it. I love it.
There's about 50 different common themes.
Yeah.
Great.
So
I'm looking at.
a couple of years ago, Carrie was getting her master's in psychology,
Oh.
and she was just thinking about, I want to study our experience of twin dreams. And so for like 2 or 3 months, we recorded all of our, well, I mean, obviously you can't record your dreams, but we jotted
jotted
down what we
little
could
bit.
remember and kind of informally analyze them by pulling out the not common themes, but just recurring themes. So like, I'm just looking at this list right now of, is this your list or my list?
You can't even tell the difference.
I can't even tell the difference because I'm looking at it and
That
all,
says a lot.
all of the bullet points,
This is
fish tanks, water
this is my
slides,
list.
Granny's house.
But Granny's house having a darkness and an evilness.
Yes, absolutely. Home invasion. Rickety wood with the car.
Yep.
Yes, on the tracks. Have to cross a murky pond with lurking creatures, usually alligators.
Yes.
Yes.
And the water is always brown.
Like, where does this come from? We didn't grow up in Florida with alligators.
I know, like what it kind of like an ancient, like some of these are dreams that you could have had like hundreds of years ago, and it could have been this exact same. You know what I mean? Like the alligator pond, like, scary animal.
I'll say, hey, do you ever have dreams about XYZ? And Carrie will go, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, are you sure? And then I'll give her details. And I'm like, well, there's this it happens at night and you feel this way about it. And then I'll start mentioning the details, and then a light bulb will go off and she'll be like, oh my God, I do have those dreams. She just didn't remember them initially.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I
It's
have had
deep in
those.
there.
Just like the way that happens in waking life, you'll see something the next day and it sparks that memory.
Yeah, leave the folder.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. If it fascinates us, and this is our own lives,
Exactly.
it must fascinate other people.
I was talking to Carrie about this because we were both looking into any of the research on this subject. There is very little, which is crazy to me. There's that one dissertation that you told me about. That was like the only real text I could find.
So Dr. Marjorie Runyon, who I actually talked to on the phone, she's a lovely lady. Back when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my master's thesis, ultimately I did not study this, but she is an identical twin. She, with a doctorate in psychology, she wrote, and do twins dream twin dreams? In short, yes, they do. Empirically, she did a study. Yes, they do.
As empirically as you can study.
She didn't necessarily answer the question of do twins dream the same dreams as each other, but her question was, do twins dream different dreams than singletons? They do. They much more often have, I don't want to misquote it, but they have different symbols. I think they have more emotional and more personal connections in them than singletons. Because my life is like soul attached to yours.
Exactly.
Like I live my life knowing that I am like attached via my soul to another human being, and I have since in utero. Whereas most other people who are singletons don't. They literally are looking for their soulmate, their partner.
We've had our soulmate
I've had ones my entire life. Like my life is already complemented by a person. So like,
and always has been, and yes,
I
always will be.
don't know it any other way. So twin dreams have more soul, have more familial members show up in their dreams than singletons do.
Okay, I'm so glad you reminded me of this. I have this statistic. The statistic from Runyon says that 44% of twin dreams contain the other twin as a character. 44%. Singletons do not dream that frequently of their siblings. Indeed, only 19% of characters in singleton dreams are other family member, like any other family member.
The person who pops up in my dreams the most, not my husband, it's Carrie. My mom pops up in dreams a lot because we're very close with our mom, but it's definitely Carrie is the most prominent figure in my dreams by far. And
we don't live together anymore. We don't work together. We don't have the same job. Sure, we see each other plenty, but I don't want to sound like one of those crystal healing type people, but we are attached by the soul. I don't know how else to say it.
Crystal healing.
I was going to say there's plenty of room for that on this podcast. Don't worry.
Person, but I don't know how else to say it, but I personally believe like that some type of magic, for lack of a better word, because it's just not studied enough, but there is some type of magic that happens in utero when all the cells were dividing and everything, and we were in there for 9 months. Like something happened. That's just what I believe. I have zero evidence to support it.
No, it's just your experience.
But it's also one of those things
like this is a magical connection. Like the people don't understand, and it's hard to.
It's almost like the spiritual realm. Like we know, or some people know, or at least believe that there is a spiritual realm, but you can't prove it.
You can't see it.
You can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't, so it's like you might know that it's there or feel that it's there, but you can't prove it. That's how like dreams are and twin dreams are. It's like we know that there's a connection. We know that there's something going on, but I don't know what it is, and you can't study it. It's not palpable. It's not visible. You can't taste it. You can't smell it.
I can't record my dream on video and then be like, analyze it. Like
exactly. But I'm glad that you two are bringing this up, because on this podcast, I'm interested in all the different ways of knowing, including but not limited to rational modern science, right? Because there are things that science used to think were not true that then got proven to be true. So it's always unfolding. And so the things that we know and experience are equally valid here.
I do hope that years from now, science or whatever is the next step beyond science, some type of super science, I don't know,
it'll be run by women, whatever it is. It'll definitely be run by women.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That science or whatever you want to call it will have come up with a way to prove that this is real, that this is not just some made up weird stuff. This is a real phenomenon. Currently, we are struggling to explain it and prove it in an empirical way.
But it doesn't mean it's not there.
It is currently hard to calculate it and measure it.
I mean, we couldn't see cells.
Exactly.
We certainly couldn't see atoms, but we know that those were there, but we didn't know that those were there, in 1850 or whatever.
So as of right now, I think just what we can best contribute is just our personal story and how we experience it just for us, so that people can at least just start to begin to understand and appreciate that this is a thing that does happen. It is a phenomenon that exists, although we just don't currently 100% understand it, and that's okay.
I mean, we wouldn't know the things that we know without curiosity.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. That is the birth of invention and of discovery. Yeah. Yes.
Science is literally asking questions. And tons and most science is asking questions and actually never finding the answer. You just hypothesize, and you're like, well, that wasn't proven, but
I might not have found the answer, but I found 100 ways to not find the answer, and that brought me closer.
Let me try again. It's just constantly asking questions.
I don't know that it's this yet, but I know it's not this, and this, and that's
I tell people all the time in therapy that if you walk out with more questions than you walked in with, maybe that's okay. Sometimes, maybe that's okay.
Yeah. So I'd be interested in what other questions maybe people have after hearing this, because
me too. I'm curious. We might have to end up doing like a part 2,
Yeah, I hope that people will comment on this episode and leave us some questions, because I think this is going to be news to a lot of people.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Nothing new to me.
There's no doubt in my mind. People don't realize what's going on in twin brains.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Did we talk about, I feel like recently we talked about how we both have like a haunted house recurring thing. And for me, it's this house, and we grew up in this town called Blairstown. And for me,
where's that?
It's in New Jersey.
Middle of nowhere, New Jersey.
Nice. Rural part of New Jersey. And for me, it's this like huge wooden, dark,
convoluted, right?
Yeah, there's like 5 stories to it, and like I never know where the rooms are. It's like, how big is this effing house? But it's very haunted, and not in the cool, fun, this is awesome way. In a this feels uncomfortable, I don't want to be here way. And I don't know where this haunted house is coming from,
Is it always the same house?
It's kind of always the same house. And when I have the dream, I'm like, oh man, I'm having this dream again where I'm at this house. I remember this house. I was here in my dream a year ago, or I had this dream 5 years ago, or whatever it was. And I go there, and it's almost like this haunted house is like, every time I go back to it, it's so hard to explain. Like I'm going back to it as if
like it's a second attempt, like try again.
Yeah, as if it's a sort of chronological story of this house. Like the first time I had the dream about the house, I was moving in. The second time I had the dream, I was realizing I don't want to live here. The third time I had the dream, it was like, I'm moving out. The fourth time I had the dream, it was me going back and being like, oh, I remember living here, and I remember why I moved out. the 5th time I had the dream, it was like, oh shit, I forgot I left my cats here. So his cats, my cats are here and they're hungry, but I don't want to go in the house, but I need to save my cats. And then the last time I went there were like the ghosts of children there. Like every time I go back, it's like adding to the story as if it's a chronological sequence of events related to this haunted house.
Of children. I do have ghosts of children. What I've done in the past, which has helped me with these dreams, I had one where there was a ghost of a child in Granny's house. He was like in the front closet, and he was the reason that Granny's house was haunted. I opened the closet and I knelt down and I talked to him.
Oh, so I did a similar thing at my haunted house.
Stop.
Well, it helped, and now I don't have dreams anymore.
I did. So when
I was like, "Let me help you, little boy."
That's almost exactly what I did at.
I'm just sitting here, mouth agape.
You just have to like talk to the ghost.
So the last time I had my haunted house dream, which was probably within the last 6 months to a year, I had the haunted house dream, and ghosts of children appeared that I'd never seen those
this
ghosts
is
of
just
children
a random
before.
little boy.
And I did the same thing. I was like really afraid of them at first, and then I sort of rationally told myself in the dream, I'm like, these are children. They are not scary. They are kids
Just a boy who
died early, and they are not anything to be afraid of. And I talked to them, and I got to know them, and I was like, hey, can I get you something? And he was like, I just want to sleep or something. And I was like, there's your bed or whatever. And I just like treated them as if they were alive. And then they weren't really scary anymore. And I haven't had the dream since.
So you both worked through whatever this is independently.
We basically gave the ghost therapy.
That's right.
Hey, ghost.
Well, instead, like you said, instead of making assumptions and leaning into the fear, you were able to confront what was going on. And what we see in psychology is that with a lot of dream themes, once we have a little bit more like authority and autonomy over the dream, and we feel like we have a good handle on the way that we interact in the dream, the theme often disappears.
Yeah, in general, and this is not, I think, a twin thing, but just me, in talking with like past boyfriends who talk about their dreams, they have often said that they have dreams and they have no control over what happens in their dreams.
I have a lot of control.
I have a lot of control. Even sometimes as I'm dreaming, I'll be like, this is a dream.
So lucid, like elements of lucid dreaming.
I have a lot of control in my dreams. I make decisions. Sometimes, not all the time, if something is happening that I really don't like, I can literally be like, this is a dream.
Wake up.
This scene sucks. I'd rather be somewhere else. Just think of something else. Okay, great. There I am.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just change it. So I have a lot of consciousness and control in my dreams. And I thought everybody had that. I thought that was universal across the board. And then like I found out just from like boyfriends and stuff that they don't have that.
Right.
And I was like, well, your dreams sound like they suck.
Yeah. Like if I'm having a dream and I'm about to die or something, I can kind of just go, no,
this is not happening.
Not happening. We're going to
change this.
Yep. I don't like this.
Yeah. So that is another area of research in lucid dreaming being helpful for people who are dealing with PTSD nightmares, learning how to gain control and change the script.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what worked for that haunted dream. I just changed the script.
I want to go back to, we were talking about this haunted house dream and how it became less scary, the haunted house, once we realized that there wasn't really anything to be afraid of. And I think that hits on a common theme for everyone, that what we are all most afraid of is not the dark, it's not heights, it's not public speaking, it's the unknown. You're afraid of what you don't know and what you don't understand, which is why scary movies are always scary, because you're like, what's behind the door? You're not afraid of what is behind the door, you're afraid of not knowing what's behind the door. So why these haunted house dreams were so scary was because there was something creepy in the house and I didn't know what it was and I didn't understand it.
And then literally opened the closet and it was this little boy, and I was like, oh.
Once I understood that
This
it
was
was
this little
just
boy.
a bunch of dead children,
Yeah.
not hanging or anything, they weren't
just,
bloody or
just
gory. They
pale and dead.
were just the spirits of kids
Yeah,
who had
little
passed away.
Ghost boy.
Once you realize, oh, this isn't anything to be afraid of, and then you're away. And I think we can all relate to that.
I mean, for any listeners out there who do have lucid dreams and have the type of control that we do in our dreams, next time you have a nightmare or an anxiety dream,
That's right.
if you have that ability, just convince yourself and be like, okay, confront this thing. Just get right in there and be like, first of all, this is a dream. I know you're not even real. So come at me. And then chances are it'll just be some like little thing that doesn't even matter. And then you have resolved it. It's like your own therapy.
I was going to say that those feelings do carry over into our waking life as well. Like gaining more autonomy over our dreams makes us sometimes feel more confident, even in real life situations.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. Oh, you guys, y'all are great at this. You guys are definitely coming back on the podcast. I've already decided I am going to be reaching out to you guys for sure. Y'all are great.
On and on and on. I mean, we've only touched on maybe half a dozen.
But see, people, there's a misnomer that people aren't interested in dreams, and that is so not true. I want to debunk that.
I'm so fascinated in dreams.
I am too. I always have been.
We have common twin dreams. I just think, I think sharing in other people's experiences of dreams, because you can do anything in a dream, right? The fantasy of them, the realm of ability of what you can do is endless in a dream. So it's like, well, what does your mind create? Do you go out into space? Because I don't ever go out into space, but you can be an astronaut. You can dive to the bottom of the ocean in a dream. I don't, but do you? It's like, where does your brain go? Because I'm curious.
Like, what are you getting to experience?
What are you doing? Yeah.
Because it does feel so real. I'm starting to realize that I think our dream, like the alphabet language of our dream symbolism, is like very personal. I really do think it is.
I dream about the water and the air, but I don't dream about the earth. I don't dream about dirt, soil, the ground. I don't really dream about that.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
And I know that there are lots of books out there that have dream symbols. Say, I dreamt about snakes last
Trying
night.
to make it universal.
Right. I mean, look in the book and see, what do snakes mean? And it'll say, well, snakes mean that you're sexually repressed. And you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, hold up.
You're dreaming about penises.
And you're like, okay.
And you're like, wait, I'm not everything can mean
what?
penises.
So for me,
Freud.
I think those books are just, they're pop psychology. They're fun, but I think if I were to dream about snakes, just as an example, it would mean something very different to you if you dreamt about snakes. I think everybody's symbols are unique to themselves. I also just happen to think that Lindsay and I
not only have the same symbols, but the same feelings
attached to those
symbols.
Yeah.
I know, like that additional layer for you too. Yeah, the emotional layer. I know. Man, it's pretty incredible.
It is kind of cool.
You're like, we're pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of cool. I mean, we're not like cool in normal life, but
Oh my gosh, wait. And speaking of being cool in normal life, if listeners want to find you, follow you, how do they do that?
We're moving into the real estate realm as a duo. So I will say you can contact us if you're looking to buy or sell a home
in the Nashville,
in the
Tennessee
Nashville
area.
Email us at propertytwins@gmail.com. But please, only if it's relevant to real estate.
Serious inquiries only.
We are on Instagram as the Property Twins.
Yeah.
Y'all, I love this for you. This is very exciting.
Will that house be haunted? Who knows?
I don't know. But
Stay tuned to find out.
Make friends with the Ghost Boy.
Bringing it back around to the Ghost Boy. Hope the Ghost Boy is doing okay. I bet he is. I think you helped him.
He's been showing up in my dreams ever since.
You know what? I'll probably dream about him tonight.
All right. So the Pfeiffer twins, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. They were fascinating, and I know that the listeners are going to love them. So thank you. I appreciate you both.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting us.
That's it for the show. Thank you again to my guests, the Pfeiffer twins. You are both brilliant, and it was delightful getting a window into your dream worlds. Do you have questions or a dream you want to share? Please drop me an email at psychemagicpodcast@gmail.com. That's psychemagic with a C @gmail.com. Or you can leave me a voicemail via the link in show notes. I'd love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Instagram at psyche_magic. Psyche Magic was produced, recorded, and edited by me, Jordan Hale. Our theme music is by Young Summer. Artwork is by Annika Murphy. Special thanks go to Daniel Higby and Valerie Martin, as well as all of my amazing friends and family who have encouraged me to continue this work. You can check out information about this and other episodes on our website, www.psychemagicpodcast.com. Psyche Magic is available via Anchor across all podcasting platforms. If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing and feel free to leave us a review if you're so inclined. Thank you so much for listening. I'll leave you with a question. If you must sleep through a third of your life, are you willing to sleep through your dreams too? Get your dream journals out, y'all. I'll catch you next time.